Good morning, welcome to Meat Minute Monday from Farmers Markets, and today we're going to talk about tenderizing beef. Now this is something I haven't done before, or one of these things I haven't done before. So we've got 4 very average steaks here. They're not Farmers Market. I went to the local supermarket to buy them, so make sure that this experiment works. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 different methods to each steak and we'll see which one works the best. Okay, steak number 1 we're going to just leave as is, and we're going to cook it as is on the grill. Number 2, we're going to use a mallet, so something like this, and we're going to beat it out of it. And the third one, we're going to use some salt, and we're going to salt it, and we're going to cover it with salt, and then before we cook it, we're going to wash the salt off. And then the fourth one, we're actually going to use something I've never done before, pineapple. Okay, so I've seen this on a clip recently. You can use pineapple or kiwi fruit, and what you do is you get about 1/3 of the pineapple, and we're going to blender it up and make it into a little bit of a paste and cover one of the steaks with that, and then leave it in the fridge. So let's get to it. Okay, so steak number 1 we're going to leave as is. Number 2 we're going to get a mallet, so something heavy, and what a mallet does is it breaks up the fibers in the steak, so it tenderizes it. So we're just going to give it a bit of a bash. Make sure if you've got a good portion of fat on the meat that you bash that hard. Okay, so you really want to break that up. Okay, now we've blended up our pineapple. So it was about 1/3 of a fresh pineapple. Apparently you can't use canned pineapple, so make sure you get a fresh one and chop the skin off on the outside. We're going to put one of our steaks in a bag, and we're going to pour the fresh pineapple mixture, which is like a foam kind of juicy mixture, into there, and that should be enough. And we're going to do it up, and whenever you marinate something you want to make sure you get all over the steak, so we're just going to squish it around a bit and make sure it's all around the bag and the steak's immersed in it, and like that. And we're going to put that one in the fridge. And then the last one we're going to do is we're going to get some good salt. So I've just got some sea salt. It doesn't have to be amazing salt, okay, it just a good sea salt is fine. Probably wouldn't recommend table salt, for something a bit better than table salt. Okay, so a good sea salt, we're going to cover the steak in some sea salt. So we're going to put it all over the steak. So don't worry, you're not going to eat it, so it will look like a lot of salt at the moment, but we're going to wash it off before. So what the salt does is it absorbs the liquid that's inside the steak, and it ages the meat. And aged meat, just like all of these methods, aged meat is a lot more tender than non-aged meat, okay? So if you have an old steak in the fridge, it's actually probably going to taste a lot better than a brand new steak that you're going to buy. Okay, so aging it for a couple of days in the fridge is actually not a bad idea. Now we're going to leave the salt on. We're going to put this in one of the bags as well. We're going to leave as much of that salt on that steak as possible, and we're going to put all of these steaks in the fridge for about an hour to an hour and a half. We're going to leave them, and then we'll take them out and we'll cook them on a grill at the same temperature and see how they turn out. Okay, here we go. We've taken all of our steaks out of our bags. We've washed the pineapple off the pineapple steak, and we've washed the salt off the salt steak. So the number 1 steak is as is, just a normal steak. We haven't done anything to it, which is blue. Number 2 steak, we've used the mallet and we've smashed it up a bit, and so it's gotten a bit thinner and a bit larger, but we'll see how that goes. Number 3, the pineapple ones come out with a weird color, but let's see how it goes. The fibers have started to open up, so it's looking interesting, to say the least. This is our salt steak. To me, this is looking the best. You can see that all the fibers have opened up, and it looks like it's being malleted, but it hasn't, and we've just washed the salt off that. So let's throw them on the grill and let's see what happens. Okay, here we go. We've taken the steaks off. I cooked them for around 3 minutes each side. This is our original one with nothing done to it, and I've not added any seasoning or salt after cooking. Our original steak, our malleted steak, our pineapple steak, and our salted steak. And you can see the difference mostly between the last two, the pineapple and the salt. The coloring is quite pale compared to the other two, which we haven't done any seasoning to. The pineapple steak is going to be either really good or really rubbish by the looks of it, because it's just falling apart. I mean, I've never seen a steak just fall apart on the grill like that. So let's see how it goes. We're going to let it rest, because we always need to let our steak rest for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to slice into it. Okay, so we've let them sit for a good 5 minutes. All I'm going to do is cut them in half so you can see how they look inside, and we can compare. So we're just going to use our chef's knife, and this is the original steak with nothing done to it. It's not too bad. This is the malleted steak. So we didn't add any seasoning or anything. So you can see it's a bit more cooked than the original one because it's a bit thinner. This is the pineapple steak, which I don't even think I need a knife to cut. It's just ridiculous. It's just falling apart. So it's a little bit well done too. So it's really, really different. Let's see how that goes. And this is our salted steak. Okay, so again a bit pale in color, but cooking, it probably cooked a little bit more than the other ones as well. So by the look of it, the malleted steak looks the best, but let's see how they taste. Okay, let's dig in and have a go. I'm going to try a little bit of the original steak. Again, no salt or anything. A bit average if you ask me, but it's not my steak. It's the same kind of piece from the malleted steak. Let's see if it's any better. It's actually just as tough. I'm not a fan. I don't know where to cut this one. So not the best looking steak, but let's see how the pineapple steak turns out. Actually very, very tender. Very tender. A little bit dry, maybe I marinated too long, so I'd reduce the marinating time on that one, but very, very tender. Tastes a little bit like a roast beef, like a slow cooked beef. Let's try the salted one. You can taste the salt, so just if you don't like a lot of salt, then probably don't go the salted one. But the salted one and the pineapple were definitely the two most tender. On looks, the first two would look amazing, but they're just a bit tough. I'd probably try, and if you're at home, try and mix it up with try one salted, one pineapple, and see what happens. You can even try a kiwi fruit. But personally, my favorite is the salted one. So good luck with your tenderizing, and let us know how you go. I'm having lunch.